Hi, my name is AJ K6LOR. I'm the communications coordinator for the Wagon Wheel Camporee. I want to walk through a couple items for you so you have an idea of what you're getting into. The Wagon Wheel Camporee takes place on Friday, April 10th through Sunday, April 12th of 2026, with our communications mission starting with a go live by 2 p.m. on that Friday. This is the premier spring camporee for the Mountain West Council of Scouting America. It's located northwest of Vail, Oregon, up at Westcott Ranch and a few of the surrounding ranches. Typically, this event sells out. There is a maximum number of people, but typically there's several hundred that we see there of youth, leaders, volunteers, and staff. We work very closely with Civil Air Patrol on this event, and they usually have a plus or minus 100 and sometimes more of their staff and cadets that add to that number. The majority of the event is held outside of cell coverage or just on the threshold of it. However, once everybody gets in Friday night, the one main cell tower that has somewhat reasonable coverage to part of the course becomes completely saturated. There's just too many people with cell phones out there all at the same time. There is no pavement up to the ranch itself. The last little while is a gravel road, and then it becomes dirt and two-track once you get off that road. Overall, it's about square mile space, but pretty steep terrain from one side to the other. So with that terrain, we do have significant issues with cell coverage, which we use very closely just because we are on the east side of a ridge line. Don't exactly have the best visibility out west as far as incoming weather. So we're highly reliant on looking at weather radar and other apps for communication amongst the camp staff. Now, just so we're clear, electronics are not allowed on the course by the scouts or by the vast majority of the adult volunteers. Our mission for providing data specifically for camp staff use. Scoring for a competition that takes place on Saturday, usually there's between 10 and 12 sites. They're spread across the square mile area. A typical compass course that each patrol gets will take them on anywhere from 3 to 7 mile hike to hit each one of those sites in a specific order. With that, we have Civil Air Patrol that helps us get the scoring data from those sites across their network back down to their net control location, consolidated onto a spreadsheet, and then that gets over to the camp staff. By doing this, rather than waiting for papers to get either inevitably lost or slowly filing in at the end of the day, one, they're able to keep an eye on kind of progress of how the patrols are doing, how the overall course is running, but they're able to actually crank out awards a lot quicker as opposed to having to wait till midday Sunday like they had in previous iterations of this camp up north of Emmett. One of the bigger problems that we have this year is Kevin Neal, who I normally work with, who supports us from Anthem Broadband, also known as SafeLink, usually provides us with basically a 1-ton truck's worth of batteries. Also, the uplink from their network up on Vail Butte. He's unavailable. Unfortunately, he's got a cruise that got rescheduled, and his wife will not absolutely let him reschedule that again, which I totally understand. So we're having to look to further steps into our contingency plan. So there's a number of solutions that we provide to Scouting America for this camp. Number one, I already discussed, Civil Air Patrol coming in and providing the scoring and logistics support for the competition on Saturday. So that's when we'll see them kind of in earnest. They bring in their P25 VHF system. So they are completely independent as far as that's concerned. We just provide them with an internet drop so that they can get things moved across Google Drive. On the amateur radio side of things, we provide a logistics repeater on VHF Business Band. We have a suitcase repeater that's put together for this event. It's in a Pelican case, native 12 volts directly into it, and it has excellent coverage if I put it up on top of the hill. However, if we have the ability to put it down towards our admin site where we need the majority of our stuff anyways, I just need some height in order to be able to make that effective to get into some of the back stations. Additionally, the ability to get access to Starlink terminals really has gelled in the last, I'd say, probably 6 to 9 months. So we're working on trying to get support for those. I have all of the microwave gear that we need in order to deploy the Wi-Fi into the further extents of the camp. It's all Ubiquiti gear that we use, 2.4 for subscriber use, and I have 900 megahertz that we use as the backhaul between those sites. Additionally, we historically, once everything's set up on Friday, we support that hardware that's in place, and then we help provide the camp staff with additional logistic support as they need it throughout the weekend. So here's an example of how things were set up last year. Civil Air Patrol set up their net control in the back of this cargo trailer. We shot a microwave link up to the hill, gave them Wi-Fi. That's how they were able to get their laptop on to update the spreadsheet directly. They operate on VHF outside the 2-meter band. And they're using P25 digital. It seems to be working well for them now. Historically, they've used UHF, super low power. They had to have a bunch of relays to do that, but they've really consolidated. Camp staff will go ahead and get that business band repeater stood up. I also have a cache kit of 10 VHF radios that we use that are programmed for that repeater. It's a 158 output, 151 input. And I've got sufficient batteries. We're able to get through the weekend, no problem as far as their needs are concerned. For the amateur side of things, we'll operate on 146.58. We also have coverage from the 100 and the 120 repeaters, which are Vale, Ontario, if we need to get out. But you can also get far enough down the road to get into cell service, which is kind of probably the better option if you really do need to get outside that area for communications if the Wi-Fi is down. We deploy the same network name and password across all of the 2.4 access, so it offers kind of a pseudo route or a roaming. So once the camp staff enters it into their device, their phone or their laptop, regardless of where they're at within coverage, it'll connect to it. They won't have to switch dynamically. And then we do have one of my coworkers coming down from Spokane who will also try to get us a backup uplink in the event that we have issues with the Starlink. So for this event, there's actually a couple different communication teams that are operating in tandem. Civil Air Patrol, they're going to be lead on anything that has to do with scoring information, getting that from the stations on Saturday. And then they also help us extensively with perimeter security to ensure that the patrols do not exit the area itself. Also, there's usually range and target shooting. There's areas there that we want to make sure that we don't have youth inadvertently walk through the backside of a range. So they help us there extensively. Amateur radio operator team, we will be lead support for the camp logistics repeater on business band and the Wi-Fi network and the uplink to that. Myself, I will be helping kind of coordinate the overall communications effort. So for our timeline, as I'm recording this on the 1st of February through the end of the month, we're really looking at planning and gear check, trying to acquire, get commitments for equipment, timelines for folks getting it on their vacation calendars or schedules as a whole. March, hopefully we've got plans to do a site visit, make sure that our plan is going to work for us. We've got folks that live fairly close by that are a point on this camp. So just coordinating with their schedule to be able to get out there. Um, and then really the metal hits the road when we get to Wagon Wheel Weekend, which is April 10th. Our go start is at 9 o'clock on Friday morning of that weekend, getting the business band repeater stood up. Um, that's to get the camp staff's logistics started, and then starting the Wi-Fi network, getting that established down the admin area first. That'll help them support as they're doing check-in as troops start showing up, typically anytime after 3 o'clock. So our drop dead on that is 2 o'clock on Friday. And then our goal is to have prior to dark, which is usually about between 6 and 7 o'clock, depending upon what the weather's doing, having the Wi-Fi active on the back end of the course, depending upon what we're able to get committed as far as resources for this year, so it's ready for Saturday morning. Validation Saturday morning, 8 o'clock, make sure everything's good to go across the entire course for the Wi-Fi side. And then we maintain that system throughout the course coverage through 6 o'clock is when the stations close. So at that point, we start seeing those stations. All the scouts should be more or less working their way down, doing map tests down at the admin area, and wrapping things up. And then Sunday, our drop to start shutting everything down as far as the Wi-Fi and the business band system is going to be 1 o'clock Sunday afternoon, unless camp staff says, hey, we can go ahead and move forward with getting stuff wrapped up sooner than that. But other things that we can be knocking down, putting away tents, getting the rest of the stuff that prepped. It's the communication stuff's the last stuff that we have to knock down. So, a couple of logistics items. Scouting America is the served agency, so all of their policies must be followed. Any volunteer that's on site must complete the safeguarding youth training, which replaced youth protection training prior to arrival, and that is at my.scouting.org. It'll give you a PDF certificate. We just need a copy of that before you show up. If you have not taken FEMA's ICS or Incident Command System 100 course, it's highly recommended. We are operating in a unified command status with the Civil Air Patrol, and we are reporting to Scouting America. So they are the lead on the actual event. This is similar to some of the longer public service events that we've done that are completely off-grid. So there's no food, there's no water. You're going to have to bring all of your own provisions for primitive camping. We do have porta potties throughout, but you are in the high desert and the weather can do anything it wants to and then change again because it's almost close enough to being more like Idaho weather than is Oregon weather. Bring layers, bring sunscreen, bring insect spray, be fully prepared to be deployed throughout the entire time period. That goes along with handheld radios. Make sure you have sufficient batteries. Generally, most folks recommend grab a clamshell. If you're going to be operating on the business band repeater, which 99% of the time we are, make sure you have your out-of-band modification done on your radio, and we'll get you programmed for it. And then four-wheel drive is recommended if you're going to be driving at any point throughout the course. Scouting America does not allow ATVs or UTVs at all during this event, so just don't bother bringing them at this point. So with that, please join the comms team. We really could use the help. Each year things get better. Each year things get more challenging. So it's just different challenges, and we leverage the skills of those around us. So we're really looking for about 3 different roles right now. Comtext for helping deploy support and then knock down both the RF and the IP networks. Net control is something that we have not really been able to staff in the past because we haven't had the resources, but that's something that we're looking to have for trying to bring some sanity to some of the communications rather than have it be one-to-one. So both on our business band and our amateur ops side of things, really that could be the same person. Just knowing how little or how much traffic there is. but really being able to liaison with Civil Air Patrol would be super helpful. And then logistics support. If you want to come up and just hang out with us and just help with meal prep, that's something that tends to kind of get forgotten because we get kind of busy. Also super helpful. Uh, Three major items for equipment requests that we're looking for right now. Trying to get some height at the admin site, which is right by the road where everybody comes in. Um, so I have historically just placed the repeater up on top of the highest hill I could get to, which is not exactly ideal. It's kind of hard to get to, and it's hard to get all the equipment up to. But if I can get 30, 50, 70 feet higher than just at the admin area, I should be able to get voice traffic into the back pockets for the Saturday coverage. So looking for that. Um, and then for powering, we're looking for anywhere from 6 to 800 amp hour or greater batteries for the access points themselves. They're drawing realistically about 3/4 of an amp. And we've got basically a 48-hour period that we're trying to operate them in. So kind of do the math there. LiPo is going to last longer because I'm going to have a depth of discharge would be better than if we're using AGM or lead acid batteries. Obviously, we're only going to be able to go about half that. And then mast and tripods for each access point. I know I've got a couple pictures throughout here, but generally we were borrowing those from Anthem Broadband, and we don't have access to those this year. Any questions, please reach out to me. Email's right here, aj.grantham@gmail.com, or send me a text, 208-957-4363. I travel extensively for work. I'm usually in the air Mondays and Thursdays or Fridays. I'm best reached that way. And I can try calling you back when I have a chance. If you call me and I kick you to voicemail, it's not you. It's just generally I'm not in a place where I can take a phone call. So with that, I appreciate your consideration and look forward to seeing you coming up here in April at the Wagon Wheel 2026 Camporee.